This is Juan Carlos Morales, the former global CFO of BNY Mellon Group, an organization with over $1.8 trillion under assets. Not only that, but he has also worked as the global CFO of other institutions that have cumulative $4 trillion under management. He is currently the founder and managing partner of Surfside Capital Advisors LLC, an international consultancy firm based right here in Boston. Based on the company you're working for, let's say the size of it, um, would you change how risky your plan is for that business?
Um, I think size is not the right dimension, right?
Mm.
It's strength, right?
Yeah.
You could have a really small company that has a lot of cash in the balance sheet, right? So they
Yeah.
can take more risk, right? Because
Okay.
they have enough liquidity uh, to perhaps invest in more innovative products that may or may not work, right? A portfolio person. Whereas you could be a giant company, Boeing, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're running out of cash, right? So, so,
Yeah.
so, so a company's risk tolerance, it's often high risk, high return, low risk, low return, right?
Hmm.
So
Got it. So it's not about how large, it's about how much cash you have,
how strong.
how strong you are.
Yeah.
And with those,
Cash or access to cash, right?
yeah, like with the credit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, credit, or if you were Mark Zuckerberg, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When he was burning, he didn't have a lot of cash, right?
Yeah.
Because he was burning everything that he got. But his revenues were going like this.
Hmm.
So, it was such a promising company, Facebook, right?
Yeah.
That everyone, if he wanted to raise capital, right,
Hmm.
it would have been easy, right? So he knew that, right? So in that case, he didn't have the cash because he was burning it, but he had access to capital because he had a capital markets ready organization, right?
Yeah. So his future was so bright that he could create that capital. All right.
He could create that capital if needed, right? So he had no problem walking on thin ice.
Yeah. Most that stock brokerages like Fidelity are now allowing smaller investors to invest in like fraction stocks. Do you think that a company
Yeah.
could create a platform in which they could use fractional investing for larger assets? Like let's say housing.
Yeah, I think that actually it exists right now. I mean, I
Mm.
think that there's a bunch of asset classes, right?
Yeah.
Not just in real estate, in other areas, right?
Yeah.
That that very small amounts of capital get pooled to
Yeah.
acquire much larger operation, right?
Mhm.
And Um, and I think that's a wonderful thing to do because it allows the retail investor to participate in institutional size transactions, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's a great thing. You've heard of Robinhood and a few other platforms out there that are trying to just basically do just that, which is go after the millennial investor that doesn't have particularly a lot of money but likes to participate, right?
Yeah.
And they get fractional, fractional investments into something that ultimately becomes much bigger, right? So,
Yeah.
no, I'm a big fan of that.
All right, well, I know you have a meeting now, so thank you so much. This is
It's been great. It's been great talking to you, and I appreciate what you're doing here, and I think it's important that young minds um, think of finance as still a very attractive career, right?
yeah.
Right now, we have about 25 clients in the Surfside Capital portfolio. Most of them are people of color owned businesses. And
Mhm.
there are smaller companies that when they got to us, they were a million, 2 million in revenues. but they needed to grow and didn't know how to grow, right?
Yeah.
And so we help them with strategy, with capital, with people, right? Buy, sell, focus, right?
Yeah.
And and we have a wonderful story of growth that we showcase all the time, right? So um, number one issue that all of my clients are facing these days, people. They can't find the right talent for the things that they're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So you guys are in a good space, and I hope that you give it some thought and have fun in the future.
Yeah,
Great
I know.
meeting you.
I know a ton of young people will be inspired by this and they'll learn a lot. Thank you so much.
All right,
Great
great
conversation.
talk. Yeah.